Good. I'll hold your hair.
The stories you know, told like never before. Don't miss the 3-week event series, The Faithful Women of the Bible, this Sunday on Fox.
Fox Tuesday.
You and Louisa kissed.
It meant nothing.
You're lying to yourself, buddy.
Best Medicine is all new.
We appear to be having an outbreak of bubonic plague.
You know, sure. Weird kiss with the town doctor. And now the literal plague?
Best Medicine is all new, Tuesday on Fox.
Our names were whispered through time, from generation to generation. Nothing is impossible for God.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
A Bangor teenager is in custody charged with multiple counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones. On February 26th, the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office received a complaint involving sexual exploitation of a child victim, allegedly by 19-year-old Sean Fleming of Bangor. The Sheriff's Office says the investigation revealed multiple victims and several years of alleged serious sexual abuse. Fleming was arrested today and is being held on $25,000 bail. His charges include 5 counts of gross sexual assault, 10 counts of visual sexual aggression against a child, and unlawful sexual contact. In other news tonight, a Maine lobsterman has petitioned the Supreme Court challenging a certain fishing regulation. The enforcement agency argues the requirements are necessary, while fishermen say they've gone too far. Our Alexa Kennedy has the story.
Frank Thompson, a fifth-generation fisherman, petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court challenging a rule that requires licensed lobstermen to install GPS tracking devices on their boats. The policy stems from regulations pushed by the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission and implemented by the Maine Department of Marine Resources. Officials say the tracking helps improve data on fishing activity, protect endangered whales, and support enforcement efforts. Thompson, along with many others in the lobstering community, believe the regulation has gone too far.
A lot of lobstermen who talked about the struggles they had under regulation after regulation. This was yet another one that impacted them adversely. Their business is under a lot of pressure and scrutiny, and many of them voiced how they felt like they're being treated like criminals.
PLF says the case raises major constitutional concerns, arguing that forcing fishermen to install trackers violates the Fourth Amendment. The case hinges on whether constant monitoring, even outside of fishing activity, crosses a constitutional line.
I don't think they've been involved and thought this all the way through. What looks good on paper does not look good in the real world.
Fishing for 45 years, Beal says policymakers are out of touch with lobster fishermen's reality. He also says if current regulations were adequately enforced, the GPS tracking wouldn't be necessary.
A lot more people have got to start paying attention. If you don't, you're going to lose your livelihood.
The Maine Department of Marine Resources chose not to comment on the pending litigation. Gilliam says PLF should hear back from the Supreme Court in 6 months. Alexa Kennedy reporting for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
19-year-old Chance Lauer was found deceased this week after being missing for around 2 months. Now his family is making sure the UMaine student's memory lives on. Today, Lauer's family announced the Chance Lauer Travel Scholarship Fund, which aims to help students pay for the cost of international trips and studying abroad. In his obituary, Lauer's family wrote in part, quote, "He was fortunate to pack more experiences into his short life than most people ever will, including visiting 29 states and 27 countries on 4 continents beginning at 6 months old and learning to fly a plane while in middle and high school," end quote. They added that Lauer dreamed of traveling the world as a journalist, studying journalism and international affairs during his time at UMaine. If you want to donate to the fund, you can do so through Kennebunk Savings Bank. More information is available on our website, foxbangor.com. Well, despite it being the first day of spring, many Mainers are still relying on their heat. But with the cost of heating oil climbing, some may be forced to turn down the thermostat earlier than usual. As our Alex Schley reports, rising costs are stretching assistance programs to their limit.
As the price of heating oil continues to rise, organizations that provide fuel assistance say they're using what limited resources they have left to try to keep up with demand.
So far, we have hit 100% of the requests that have come in that are eligible for the first 100 gallons, and we've not had to say no yet, but I will say this year we were the closest we'd been.
According to the Maine Department of Energy Resources, prices have jumped more than 30% in the past month. In February, 100 gallons of heating oil cost around $380. Now that same amount is nearly $500. Leaders of assistance organizations say that spike is adding even more pressure to the budgets that are already stretched thin.
We are seeing a pretty high demand as we still have some brisk weather, and right now we have the lowest dollar amount we will have all year, just because of the highest dollar amount that we spend is on heating fuel right when there's no donations coming in.
President of the Maine's Veteran Project, Doc Goodwin, says the organization is working diligently to make sure they don't have to turn anyone away. The organization plans to cut off assistance earlier this year, in part to stretch what funding remains.
April 15th.
April 15th.
And which we've never done. We've gone right into May.
The Galen Cole Family Foundation runs a similar program focused on Aroostook County, where the heating season typically lasts longer. President Scott Oxley says while they still have some funding available, rising costs are still a concern with months left in the season. Alex Schleive reporting for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Recently, TSA agents and members of the Coast Guard missed their first full paycheck since the partial government shutdown began in mid-February. Here in Maine, it's no different, and one local radio station is stepping in to help. On Saturday, March 28th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., WDEA AM 1370 will be hosting a special broadcast from inside Edwards Brothers Supermarket in Trenton. The broadcast will be hosted by Chris Popper, who says they'll be accepting cash donations, which will then be turned into gift cards for TSA agents at the Bangor International Airport, the Hancock County Bar Harbor Airport, and members of the Coast Guard stationed in Southwest Harbor. He says there are 7 TSA agents in Trenton, 50 in Bangor, and 90 Coasties, as they are affectionately known, in Southwest Harbor, who will be receiving the donations.
One thing about Mainers is that they always take care of Mainers, and they always come through when people need help. And these TSA agents and these Coasties, they need help.
According to Popper, those TSA agents and Coast Guard members can only accept gas, grocery, or restaurant gift cards at a value of no higher than $20. For those who can't attend next Saturday's broadcast, gift cards and cash can be dropped off at other locations across the area. And to learn more, visit this story on our website, foxbangor.com. Well, despite the old Hancock County Sheriff's Home and Jail not being in use for around 50 years, the work to preserve its history refuses to be frozen in time. Recently, the historic building received a grant to help one Ellsworth organization's efforts to rehabilitate it. Our Doug Banks brings us inside the old Sheriff's Home and Jail in Ellsworth.
One light shines upon 1,000 stories.
This building is part of the face of downtown Ellsworth, the historic face.
Constructed in 1886, the old Hancock County Sheriff's Home and Jail was in operation until the early 1970s.
There are actually places where the two worlds meet.
When a new jail was built, plans were made to turn the historic building into a parking lot.
And that was the beginning of the Ellsworth Historical Society. It was determined by the committee that the building indeed was worthy of rehabilitation.
It's a sentiment that's carried through to today. Recently, the Historical Society received a Revitalize Me federal grant from the National Park Service for over $185,000. It's the latest in a slew of grants they've received since 2022, totaling around $832,000, all towards their multi-phase rehabilitation efforts.
This building and the culture that surrounds it celebrates the common man and the plight of people who were struggling to live. But I believe the jail really is a significant part of what began the Historical Society and what defines this particular Historical Society. It's a very important part of who we are.
In Ellsworth, Doug Banks, ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
A heads up for motorists now. The Maine Department of Transportation is closing the on-ramp for westbound I-395 on March 26th. It will be closed from 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. for a concrete deck replacement. DOT says drivers heading northbound on Route 202 towards I-395 should use exit 3B onto Main Street in Bangor and then take the next ramp to get to I-395 west. Message boards are in place advising of the upcoming closure. Well, it's the beloved Maine weekend that signals spring. Maine Maple Sunday is just days away. It's also when maple syrup producers like Williams Family Farm in Clifton prepare for their busiest days of the year. The folks at the farm have been busy tapping, bottling, baking, and more for months now. Though the weather this weekend might not be as sweet as they'd hoped, they say they're still expecting their loyal crowd.
We are almost ready. We're expecting a big crowd regardless of the weather, just because it's spring and everyone wants to get out. Yeah. We've been busy bottling. Eileen's been making nuts and candies and a lot of different sweet treats.
Williams Family Farm is open 9 to 4 this weekend. For more information on Maine Maple Weekend, visit this story on our website, foxbangor.com. And even though, of course, as you heard, the weather forecast for this weekend, not ideal, I'm sure lots of people are going to just be getting out there anyway. It's a favorite time of year. Let's get a first check of our forecast and see what the next 24 hours or so look like.
All right, thank you. Let's start here. The rain and snow showers out there now are ending. Nothing heavy in here, but still some flurries to get through tonight into tomorrow morning. Now we'll get a break in the action through most of tomorrow, followed by our second system over here gets in here late tomorrow night, but more so on Sunday with some more rain and snow then. Right now, though, probably another half-inch of snow. Machias area moving toward the northeast this evening. It is not going to be a big snow tonight at all. The snow is ending across the area before, though, some more snow gets in here from west to east across the area on Sunday morning. Okay, temperature-wise, 45 here in the Bangor area today, 37 Millinocket. We'll take it, but tomorrow, same thing, followed by a bit cooler getting in here on Sunday to Monday. Our forecast then for tonight, though, is lots of clouds around, snow showers ending with low temperatures down near freezing. Your full forecast is coming up.
Jeff, thank you so much. Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, Maine Veterans Project stepped up yet again to change the life of a Vietnam veteran. And the Maine Veterans Project also held a job fair in Bangor today. We'll have those stories and more local news when we come back.
Space for just in case. Lease a new 2026 Sportage LX front-wheel drive for $249 a month.
Diabetes isn't a death sentence, but it is absolutely a life sentence, and you have to figure out how you're going to keep your kid alive. So when you find somebody from the government that's on your side, and it happens to be Susan Collins at the same time, that was just magnificent. After the meeting in Portland for my wife and son, my wife came back. She was 10 feet tall. She'd felt seen, she felt heard, and she felt like we had a powerful advocate on our side. It was a big step towards healing.
Thank you, Senator Collins.
Please continue delivering for T1 families.
At the County Federal Credit Union, we value the trust our members place in us to act in their best interest. Whether it's providing low rates on consumer loans or raising money to end hunger, we work hard to serve our members and the communities in which they live. We are excited to bring the meaningful and impactful work we do to all Mainers as we continue to grow. Wherever you are in life's journey, count on the county to be your financial partner.
Looking for a great glass at prices that don't break the bank? The Cheese House in Fairfield has you covered. From classic designs to unique styles, our huge selection of quality glassware is perfect for every taste and every budget. Friendly staff, honest pricing, and new pieces arriving all the time. There's always something fresh to see. Stop into the Cheese House at 5 Pike Drive, Fairfield. Great glass, great prices, and a great time.
Space for just in case. Lease a new 2026 Sportage LX front-wheel drive for $249 a month.
An Air Force veteran says a Maine nonprofit has given him back his freedom. Bruce Bissey, a Vietnam veteran from Cherryfield, says the Maine Veterans Project stepped in when he needed it most. Back in October, Bissey was on his way to a monthly appointment in Bangor for bladder cancer treatment when his car broke down. With his 20-year-old vehicle beyond repair, he says he's had to rely on friends just to get around. But today, through the Maine Veterans Project vehicle donation program, Bissey is back behind the wheel.
One word, freedom, man, just to get out even, you know. I feel like I've had cabin fever all winter long. I just can't go anywhere, you know. It's the first time I've ever been without a car this long in my life, you know.
Well, for more information on the Maine Veterans Project's vehicle donation program, head to our website, foxbangor.com. And MVP put on an event today in Bangor, bringing job seekers and potential employers together as well. Maine Veterans Project organized a job fair at Hollywood Casino. Twin City Tire, Hannaford, and Northern Light Health were among the 12 different businesses at the event.
Trying to do this a little bit more relaxed way for anyone, not just vets, but for anyone to be able to come in and get that first leg in, that first impression out of the way.
Morano says this allowed people to set up interviews after having an initial conversation. He says there was good turnout for the job fair. Well, Dorian Pillsbury, better known as D-Max, is a young Brewer student and author known for his community leadership. Recently, he traveled to Washington, D.C. to share his work and his book, D-Max's Birthday Wish, with Senators Angus King and Susan Collins. Some of his countless projects throughout the state of Maine have included food drives, teddy bear drives, and classroom kindness initiatives. In a statement, D-Max's mother, Lisa Liberator, said, quote, "This trip was another reminder that meaningful work can travel farther than you imagine," end quote. Well, coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, despite President Trump saying we won, the U.S. is sending more warships and Marines to the Middle East. And funding fails again for the Department of Homeland Security as airport lines are getting longer. Those stories and more as the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22 continues.
We're lucky to live in Maine. We have a wealth of natural resources, hardworking people, and time for the things that matter. Mechanical Services is all about Maine, with energy efficiency that protects our environment and helps businesses grow. Preventive maintenance and energy solutions that save money. How Maine is that? Mechanical Services. We're everywhere you are in Maine.
When Maine winter bites, nothing matters more than keeping your family warm. The solution is simple, a high-efficiency heat pump installed by Valley Home Services. It's the quiet, reliable warmth you need all season long. At Valley Home, we're your elite Fujitsu dealer, ensuring expert installation that delivers consistent comfort and maximizes your energy savings. And we make it easy to switch to efficiency heating and qualify for those valuable Efficiency Maine rebates. Stay perfectly warm without the high cost. For a warm, worry-free winter, trust the local experts. Valley Home Services. Winter warmth is waiting. Call us today.
Car accidents can be scary. It can feel like the whole world is crashing down around you. Hurt in a car accident, I'm on top of it. I'm your go-to guy.
Call 222-2222.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes and More has a team of experts trained in pet orthotics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or for the hard-to-fit foot, with fashionable and functional footwear from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Teva, Taos, Ufus, and Birkenstocks. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
When Blazing Trails located in Lincoln want to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Blazing Trails is Lincoln's #1 trusted dispensary, providing outstanding product and customer service to Eastern and Central Maine.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
President Trump saying in a Truth Social post Friday he's winding down the war in Iran, even as thousands more sailors and Marines are being sent to the Middle East. Fox's Caroline Elliott reports.
I think we've won.
Despite President Trump claiming victory, the Pentagon is now sending 3 more warships and over 2,000 Marines to the Middle East as the war with Iran enters a new phase.
All they're doing is clogging up the strait, but from a military standpoint, they're finished.
According to the U.S. military, the U.S. and Israel have hit 7,000 targets in Iran, but the Strait of Hormuz continues to be a problem, essentially shut down by Iran. President Trump has called for NATO to help the U.S. reopen it.
You need ships, you need volume, and NATO could help us, but they so far haven't had the courage to do so.
The Trump administration is reportedly considering plans to take over Iran's Karj Island, and the deployment of Marines could pressure the regime into reopening the strait.
It gives the president a whole range of new options, not just limited to the Karg Island, but all along the coastline of the Straits of Hormuz.
Meanwhile, the new Iranian regime appears to be picking up where the old one left off, executing 3 protesters Thursday for speaking out against the government, including a 19-year-old member of Iran's national wrestling team.
I'm absolutely not surprised by the typical behavior of the Islamic Republic revolution. This is what they've been doing. This is their identity.
A State Department spokesperson tells Fox News Digital these executions should be seen as even more evidence as to why Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. In New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
As the U.S. deploys 3 more warships and roughly 2,500 additional Marines to the Middle East, Iran is threatening to target recreational and tourist sites worldwide. Iran already striking one of the most sacred sites in the region. Fox's Mike Tobin reports from Tel Aviv.
Sirens wail across Israel with Iranian missiles inbound. Missile debris strikes Jerusalem's old city.
I looked up and suddenly I saw a cannonball just falling above me and heard a real big explosion.
A strike in the old city threatens the most holy sites in Judaism, Christianity, and one of the most holy sites in Islam. Israel's foreign minister writes nothing is sacred to this terror regime. The attack coming on the same day Iran threatened recreational and tourist sites worldwide. Israel also says it killed the Iranian Revolutionary Guard spokesman Ali Mohammed Naini. And in the same strike that killed the head of the notoriously brutal Basij forces, the intelligence chief for that force, Esmail Ahmadi, was also killed. With the new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, still in hiding, posts are appearing on his X account, recognizing Nowruz, the Persian New Year. The posts reference 3 wars, the 12-day war in June, the January uprising, and the current warfare that started with the killing of his father, the Grand Ayatollah. This war took place with the illusion that if they martyred the head of the system, it would create fear and despair. Several members of the Iranian women's soccer team returned home after abandoning their request for asylum in Australia. This as Iran hanged 3 dissidents, one of them a champion wrestler. Accused of collaborating with the U.S. and Israel, they were convicted of waging war against God. Human rights groups say they confessed under torture and their trials were a sham. Feasts and prayer mark Nowruz and the end of Ramadan. In the battered city of Tehran, residents recognize the holiday with uncertainty and sadness.
Many of our compatriots have been lost. Unfortunately, many of our young people. I hope these issues end soon.
Dozens of rockets from Iranian proxy Hezbollah menace the north of Israel every day. The IDF has moved additional troops to the Lebanese border and promises to expand that operation. In Tel Aviv, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
The Senate once again failed to pass a bill to restore Homeland Security Department funding. This comes as the security lines at airports are getting longer and the tempers of those involved getting shorter. Fox's Bill Malugin has details.
Tonight, the impacts of a 5-week DHS shutdown are now on full display.
We were really worried we weren't going to be able to get through today.
Several airports around the country, including in Atlanta and Houston, had 2 to 3 hour wait times at security lines. As TSA remains unpaid, employee call-out rates are skyrocketing, and leadership says it's likely to get worse.
Both in terms of wait times for our passengers across the United States, but also our TSA officers.
That pessimism may be warranted, as Congress doesn't seem close to any deal on DHS funding.
Negotiations to rein in ICE and end the violence still have a way to go.
But Senate Republicans believe pressure and public opinion is building against Democrats.
For these TSA lines, I think there's a real demand there by the public
for Democrats to join us.
Republican Senator Bernie Moreno and Democrat Senator Alyssa Slotkin clashed Thursday, with Moreno pitching a 2-week bill to fund all of DHS, but Slotkin shot it down, wanting only TSA to be funded.
This funds the entire Department of Homeland Security for 2 weeks. Everybody gets paid up to date. We get the department open, and then let the work that's being done now proceed.
I object. Want to fund TSA? Want to have humanity for the people who are securing us? Let's fully fund them today.
Though in a rare moment of bipartisanship last night, the Senate did pass Republican Senator John Cornyn's bill to end special treatment for Congress at TSA security lines.
Airports around the country allow members of Congress to bypass the usual TSA security screening process at airports nationwide. In other words, they get to skip the line.
The House will still need to approve that bill, and they left town yesterday. We do expect Border Czar Tom Homan to be on the Hill this evening for another meeting with a bipartisan group of senators on DHS funding. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said today we should know more after that meeting is over as to whether or not there's a real chance of getting a deal done here. Reporting in Washington, Bill Malugin, Fox News.
The Senate has been debating the hallmark issue of President Trump's legislative agenda for 4 days now, the Save America Act. Senators plan to continue the debate this weekend without much of a chance of passing the bill. Fox's Chad Pergram explains how the struggle sets the stage for the midterms.
The Save America Act requires proof of citizenship to vote. President Trump imploring Republicans to, quote, get it done.
And I'm hearing very good things. It should be an easy pass, but we need Democrat votes.
But the GOP hasn't flipped any Democrats, and some Republicans have reservations. Alaska's Lisa Murkowski says her state's vast geography forces people to fly to get the right voting paperwork.
I fear that they won't register because financially they won't be able to register. And if they're not able to register, they can't vote.
The GOP won't eliminate the filibuster to pass the bill.
There are not the votes to nuke the filibuster in the United States Senate today.
Republicans also pasting red-hot social issues onto the legislation.
Keeping boys out of girls' sports.
They're willing to say to women, you don't get to keep your own locker rooms.
Gender mutilation.
Republicans want to document Democrats opposing men in women's sports and outlawing transgender surgery for kids.
At least, very minimum, will put people on record, and it will become an issue in the midterm election.
The GOP also wants to nix mail-in balloting.
The more that we learn about this, I think the less popular but it will be.
Democrats say the Senate should spend its valuable time on the economy or Iran.
All we're really doing is wasting time on a voter suppression bill written only to appease the fringe elements of the MAGA base.
The Senate likely works all weekend on the bill. However, Republicans risk alienating their base, spending so much time on a bill which might not pass. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, Maine Maple Sunday celebrations are right around the corner. And in sports, a longtime Maine high school football coach is stepping down after 20 years. We'll be right back.
Brady hits the field with some of football's finest. The Fanatics Flag Football Classic, Saturday on Fox.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, from the longest-lasting brand, you could get a $259 a month lease on a fuel-sipping Corolla Cross SUV with a total contract cost of $14,064.
Go from dreaming it to driving it today.
Toyota. Let's go places.
Diabetes isn't a death sentence, but it is absolutely a life sentence, and you have to figure out how you're going to keep your kid alive. So when you find somebody from the government that's on your side, and it happens to be Susan Collins at the same time, that was just magnificent. After the meeting in Portland for my wife and son, my wife came back. She was 10 feet tall. She'd felt seen, she felt heard, and she felt like we had a powerful advocate on our side. No, it was a big step towards healing. Thank you, Senator Collins. Please continue delivering for T1 families.
Whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or any commercial vehicle, we know how to get you the big money you may deserve.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the twos. We win for you.
Half-off deals are waiting for you at foxbangor.com. Click on half-off deals and see how much you can save only at foxbangor.com.
News with Beth Jones on Fox 22.
The Education Department has been responsible for handling student loans, but that has changed. Secretary Linda McMahon says a new partnership with the Treasury Department will help improve the process. Fox's Connor Hansen has more.
We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible.
1 year after President Trump called for the Education Department to close, his administration is taking another step towards dismantling it. On Thursday, the agency announced that the Treasury will now manage student loans whose borrowers are in default and eventually take over the full loan portfolio.
What we had is a whole system of people not repaying their loans.
Education Secretary Linda McMahon claims the new arrangement will streamline the way student loans are handled.
On the FAFSA form, we rely on information relative to, financial information, IRS information, and so it comes much more quickly from Treasury.
Her department has been transferring much of its work to other agencies in an attempt to convince Congress it's no longer needed, but getting support has been far from easy.
The Trump administration has launched an all-out assault on public education in America. They have destroyed the Department of Education in real time.
Critics argue the Treasury takeover will make it harder for borrowers to figure out their repayment options, and they're calling on the administration to adjust its priorities.
We need the federal government to actually care about kids, not cut off SNAP and nutrition services, not cut off Medicaid.
Even with the Treasury in control, the Trump administration says borrowers can continue to repay their loans the same way. In Washington, Connor Hansen, Fox Business.
The White House has been teasing its new AI policy framework for months, and it was finally unveiled. Getting Congress to agree to the president's proposals, however, won't be easy. Fox's Jared Halpern has more from the White House.
After months of anticipation, on Friday, the White House published its long-awaited framework on regulating artificial intelligence, hoping to reduce uncertainty among policymakers and AI users. There are some areas that will likely draw broad consensus, like protecting kids from harmful AI platforms and creating national standards enforced by the feds. But it also calls for a hands-off approach to AI regulation, reflecting what the White House calls a culture of innovation in America.
There's this tremendous culture of risk-taking, and there's a huge venture capital ecosystem to support that. I do think the regulatory environment makes a big difference.
That's expected to face resistance from Democrats on Capitol Hill, and some experts point out with AI systems now writing their own code, the laws might not be able to keep up with the technology.
They go off and write big parts of your code and create pull requests and respond to your comments on the pull requests. That's how quickly, that's like barely a year worth of innovation in AI.
There are also concerns that the framework is light on protections for workers whose jobs are eliminated by AI.
We want AI that's transparent, that is allowing people to do their jobs.
But industry leaders say that's not a concern because right now the focus is on businesses that need more workers.
Most companies don't have enough labor. And so robots will fill in that gap.
Republican leaders on Capitol Hill hope to have the first draft of AI legislation ready by April. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Much of the western U.S. is baking under an extreme heat wave, which is expected to last for at least a few weeks. It's raising the risks for wildfires across the region. Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell has more.
It's been a little too hot and it's only March.
Just hours into spring, and it's already starting to feel more like summer across the West. Millions of Americans are under weather warnings as a massive heat wave sends temperatures into the triple digits.
It's really early for this heat around in the desert. Never been like this hot, ever.
The heat wave arrived last Wednesday, and forecasters say it's broken hundreds of records since. In Phoenix, the last time temperatures climbed above 100 during March was in 1988. This week, the city closed hiking trails because of the risk of heat illness. Health officials are urging anyone headed outside to take precautions.
Sweaty, fatigue, nauseous, headache, it's the right thing to actually take a break, get into a cool environment.
Fire crews say the dry and windy conditions are also putting the region at risk for wildfires, and they're deploying extra resources to prepare.
We usually winterize our wildland brush trucks, but we've kept them in service.
Meanwhile, across western mountain ranges, the early heat is depleting snowpacks, threatening a critical water source for communities throughout the summer.
Kind of capping off a really bad winter in terms of snowpack and runoff that impacts the amount of water that's available in our surface water supplies.
And in Baker, California, we are watching the temperatures rise here on the world's tallest thermometer. Forecasters say temperatures are expected to remain high across the West through early April. In Baker, California, I am Brandy Campbell for Fox Weather.
Sad news today. Famed martial artist and Hollywood action star Chuck Norris has died at the age of 86. Fox's William Lajeunesse looks back at Norris's life and career.
You have the right to remain silent.
Unlike most actors, Chuck Norris didn't need a stunt double. A black belt in judo and taekwondo, Norris ran a karate school when actor Steve McQueen suggested he try acting. One of his first films became a classic, Way of the Dragon. Years later, he starred in another hit, The Expendables.
Knowing Sly and Arnold and Bruce and Von Damme for over 30 years, the chance to work with all the guys at one time, I was looking forward to it.
Norris died Thursday in Hawaii. He lived his life with faith, purpose, and an unwavering commitment to the people he loved, said his family. Through his work, discipline, and kindness, he inspired millions around the world and left a lasting impact on so many lives. Born in Oklahoma, Norris grew up poor. After high school, he joined the Air Force. Based in Korea, he developed a love of martial arts. On discharge, he trained celebrities, picking up parts here and there. In 1993, Norris earned a role that made him a household name, Walker, Texas Ranger. Critics didn't care for his acting, but audiences did. His movies made money. Norris chose characters who followed the code of the West, loyalty, friendship, and integrity.
John Wayne was the driving force, kind of a substitute father for me, because my father was never around much in my life.
Norris was a strong supporter of conservative politics.
My plan to secure the border, 2 words, Chuck Norris.
He campaigned for then Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, George Bush, Greg Abbott, and Donald Trump.
God knows we need the best leaders we can in our country. I've been all over the world. I've done films all over the world. I've traveled all over the world. I know this is the best place.
Norris leaves behind a wife and 5 children. He was 86.
Bring on the spring at the Honda Spring Event with the 2025 Kelley Blue Book Best Value brand. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or hurry into your local Honda dealer today.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Unwind with a massage. Let me take away the stress of everyday life and allow you to fully relax. I offer Swedish, deep tissue, and prenatal massage. Healing Strength Massage in Bangor is your place for relaxing therapeutic massage.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
It's back, Bangor! The Greater Bangor Area Music Showcase returns with the fan favorite music off-Broadway. Join Roger George and his talented musicians for an unforgettable show, all to support Rotary's work in our local community. Saturday, April 11th at 7 p.m. and Sunday, April 12th at 3 p.m. Getting your tickets is easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen. Bring your friends, bring your family, and enjoy a show that makes a difference. Don't miss it.
Bring on the spring at the Honda Spring Event with the 2025 Kelley Blue Book Best Value brand. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or hurry into your local Honda dealer today.
Our names were whispered through time, from generation to generation. Nothing is impossible for God.
All right, thank you, Silva's Towing in Old Town, serving Penobscot County and beyond. Let's talk some weather out there for today, and we had some rain and some snow in the area. Nothing heavy, but still some flurries out there tonight. They will be ending by early parts of tomorrow morning. Temperature-wise, not bad. 45 here in Bangor today, 37 Millinocket, 33 for Greenville. Below average, though, for some locations today. We'll do the same tomorrow, followed by cooler temperatures for us on Sunday into Monday. We're building heat across the plains today, though, but the cold air this time of year typically wins the battle, and we are in the cooler stuff for now and likely lingering through the weekend. All right, the wind out there currently basically out of the south, east all day today. Could go calm for a couple hours tonight, and that could give us some dense fog in a few spots tonight into early portions of tomorrow morning. So overall, the wind is going to come back tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a breezier day across our region, and likely into Saturday as well, as some more winds on the way. Also, our next system is on the way for Sunday into Monday as well too. So out there now, the advisories are posted across the region. This is a small craft advisory through basically Saturday afternoon. Again, wave heights out here are approaching 3 to 5 feet. That will likely stay that way through tomorrow into tomorrow evening. So overall, there is a small craft advisory out there through tomorrow, at least midday-ish or so. All right, here's the radar, very active radar. There's some showers in here and some snow showers in here. Also some virga in here, precipitation. It's in the cloud. The radar sees it. It is falling, but it's not all reaching the ground right now. So overall, though, there's some flurries tonight, maybe another ½ inch of snow into snow Machias area this evening. Other than that, this thing is winding down. We'll get a break in the action through most of tomorrow, followed by another one right over here is going to bring us some more snow showers on Sunday and probably some rain showers in there as well. And then back behind that is another one. There's actually 3 of these things lined up, keeping our pattern pretty active through next week. So tonight, rain and snow showers out there exiting the area. Tomorrow is going to be a pretty nice day throughout the afternoon. We get a break tomorrow before our next system gets in here. This is for Sunday. Some rain, snow mixed across the area. There could be a few inches of snow on a few locations on Sunday afternoon. That gets out of here. Still some light snow showers on Monday. Break in the action Tuesday, followed by what could be the strongest of all of them for a while, getting in here on Thursday into Friday, and likely as rain showers on Thursday as warmer temperatures are on the way. It could be a pretty good soaking rainfall Thursday into Friday with some snow further north. So snowfall for tonight, probably another ½ inch or so eastern areas. Behind that, though, some more snow gets in here later on Sunday into Monday, and that could easily bring a 2 or 3 inch snowfall for parts of the area on Sunday afternoon. Our forecast time for tonight, though, is rain and snow showers ending, low temperatures down near 32 for tomorrow. All right, so mostly cloudy, breezy, maybe a flurry early with highs near 42 tomorrow. Then looking ahead, your 5-day forecast shows tomorrow 42, Sunday some rain, snow showers again, 35. Monday, same story, 38 for Tuesday, followed by more rain in the forecast on Wednesday afternoon.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And folks, don't go anywhere. We have sports next.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
When you're ready to remodel your kitchen, find all the materials and services you need at Hammond Lumber Company. Get inspired by the extensive in-store displays in Hammond's kitchen, bath, and flooring division. Hammond's designers will help you visualize your space before the work begins. And all design fees are refunded when you purchase your materials from them. And Hammond delivers from 34 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. When it's time for a new kitchen, it's time to bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company, your building project partner.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Hello, Newgarden and a hungry pack battle for a win as the road to Indy continues with Barber. Sunday, March 29th on Fox. Welcome to the fastest racing on earth.
Welcome back in, folks. We'll start tonight with some high school football news out of Fairfield, Maine, as longtime Lawrence Bulldogs head coach John Hersom announced this week that he is stepping down. Hersom wore the headset for the Bulldogs for 20 seasons, taking his team to 5 state championship games and winning the Class A state championship in 2006. Hersom's last championship run was in 2023 when Lawrence made an appearance in the Class B state title game. Prior to his time at Lawrence, Hersom played football for Edward Little in high school and then stayed home to play for the University of Maine. Hersom also announced that he will be heading over to Bangor High School to serve as an assistant coach under his son Jack, who was recently named the head coach. The father-son duo have faced off several times over the years, with Jack holding the offensive coordinator position at Bangor for 10 years. John says he's excited to work with his son and that he feels like he has plenty of fuel left in the tank. Now time to take a look at some of the scores from Friday's March Madness games, and we'll go ahead and start in the men's bracket, starting with a thriller between Kentucky and Santa Clara. Santa Clara hit a 3-point shot with 2.4 seconds left on the clock, and then Kentucky's Otega Owe hits a half-court shot at the buzzer to force OT, and they go on to win. Looking over, Texas Tech got the 91-71 win over Akron. Arizona just throttled Long Island 92-58. Virginia got the 82-73 win over Wright State, who gave them quite a battle as well. Iowa State with a 108-74 win over Tennessee State. Alabama 90-70 over Hofstra. Utah State gets the upset win over Villanova 86-76. Tennessee gets the 78-56 win over Miami, Ohio, in just their second loss of the year. Taking a look over on the no, this is still the men. Sorry. Iowa 67-61 over Clemson. St. John's 79-53 over UNI. UCLA gets the 4-point victory over UCF, and then Purdue closes it out for the men with a 104 to graphic change. All right, going over to the women's side now. Duke with an 81-64 win over Charleston. TCU with the 86-40 win over UC San Diego. Oregon gets the 10-point win over Virginia Tech, and Baylor closes things out with a 5-point win over Nebraska. South Dakota State 72-54 over Washington. Maryland, the number 5 seed, gets the 99-57 win over Murray State. Number 5 Ole Miss gets the 81-66 win over Gonzaga, and number 1 Texas gets the job done 87-45. Number 3 Michigan 83-48 over Holy Cross. Number 4 UNC gets the 82-51 win over Western Illinois. LSU gets the 116-58 throttling of Jacksonville, and then Minnesota a 75-58 win over Green Bay. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
You
got a Pepto predicament, Ace. You overdid it on the loaded fries. Undo it with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto-Bismol.
How's that flu?
I got this. I don't got this.
You need DayQuil Intense Flu.
Power through your flu symptoms with DayQuil Intense Flu. You do got this. DayQuil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching fever, power through your flu medicine.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
No. I'm in my own head.
What the heck are you talking about?
I think I got away with something that I shouldn't have. See that brand new Hyundai Santa Fe?
Yeah.
I only paid...
Finish that bucket on your own. Practice makes perfect.
Enjoy your new car.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Deal so right, it almost feels wrong. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
Right now, lease a Hyundai Elantra SE for $89 a month or get 0.99% APR for 60 months. Hurry in.
Diabetes isn't a death sentence, but it is absolutely a life sentence, and you have to figure out how you're going to keep your kid alive. So when you find somebody from the government that's on your side, and it happens to be Susan Collins at the same time, that was just magnificent. After the meeting in Portland for my wife and son, my wife came back. She was 10 feet tall. She'd felt seen, she felt heard, and she felt like we had a powerful advocate on our side. No, it was a big step towards healing.
Thank you, Senator Collins.
Please continue delivering for T1 families.
At the Challenger Learning Center of Maine, our mission to inspire Maine students has never been stronger. Our newly renovated facility is open and ready to launch. We have upgraded simulator rooms, refreshed learning spaces, and new hands-on STEM experiences. Check out our exciting upcoming events for students, educators, and families. There's always something happening at Challenger. Ready for liftoff? Explore what's new and what's next at the Challenger Learning Center of Maine. Visit astronaut.org for details.
All right, Saturday Night Baseball is back. Same night every week. You bring the couch, we'll bring the drama. Baseball Night in America, only on Fox.
Good oral health is critical to good overall health. That's one of the key messages medical experts are stressing this World Oral Health Day. But as some parents of young kids know, trips to the dentist can be scary and stressful. As Fox's Kevin Uretsky learns, there are tips and strategies to help ease kids into a dentist chair and even make the experience fun.
Friday, March 20th marks World Oral Health Day. Time to raise awareness about the importance of good oral hygiene. But when trips to the dentist can be frightening for some people, it can be challenging to accomplish these dental goals.
I think all of it is rooted in how we first experienced the dentist as kids. And if that was a positive experience, that can stay with us.
Still, many dentists say fear is normal. And when it comes to younger children, experts add,
I'm not scared of pain. And so some parents try to attack the pain angle. There's no pain in a regular dental visit. They're scared of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown can be amplified, especially if it's a child's first time in a new office or having a new dentist check them out.
We try to get our little kiddos to see the practice before they're in that pressure seat. So we like them to come and take a tour of the place beforehand.
Pediatric dentists like Dr. Tyler Hanks recommend parents set aside ample time leading up to their kid's appointment to help mentally prepare them for what to expect.
Let's tell them this is exciting. If you have the chance to role play, like with a Melissa and Doug dentist play set, 6 months prior, and get to change roles and experience and prep for the dentist well before your first visit, I think that is such an important tip.
Meanwhile, experts say it's critical to build trust between kids and dentists early on.
The AAPD recommends that we see kids at first tooth or first birthday, whichever comes first, and that we do get in every 6 months.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
What folks prioritize when shopping for groceries can change depending on whether they're in person or online. That's according to the latest research from agricultural economics experts at Purdue University. Fox's Chris DeMeo takes a closer look at their findings.
While you might be rattling off items from your list when wandering through the grocery store, the latest Consumer Food Insights report from Purdue University is revealing what people nationwide are prioritizing when shopping for provisions.
The most important attribute for American consumers is taste. Food has to taste good to us for us to purchase and enjoy it. Not far behind taste is affordability. A little bit distant third is nutrition, about a half as important as taste.
But in the digital age, grocery shopping isn't just confined to brick and mortar stores. And in a twist,
one big finding is that when consumers log in to do their grocery shopping online, their priorities are first and foremost about nutrition, health, and diet.
Analysts explain what could be behind the differences.
Shopping in person in brick and mortar stores is a little bit more of an experience. We walk down the aisles, maybe looking for specific things, but we're also willing to grab this batch of cookies, grab these chips as we're walking through the aisle. When we log in to a website to do grocery shopping online, it's a more targeted experience. We're not browsing per se.
Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Well, the Mets aren't the only attraction at Citi Field this season. If you're heading to New York, baseball fans will have a lot of new food to snack on during games. Fox's Duarte Geraldino previews some of the new dining options being rolled out there.
Let's go Mets!
Look at the size of that meat and the Mets logo right on the bone. Those two giant steaks are from Pat LaFrieda's Chop House, and this season you'll be able to get them while watching baseball at Citi Field.
Now take a bite of the meat and act like an animal.
This year, Citi Field is bringing in 27 vendors and 37 new dishes, and one of the most talked about comes from a Mets legend. Yes, Mookie Wilson's smoked pulled chicken sliders. They're already generating a buzz.
Good old Southern barbecue, Wilson style.
But Mookie isn't the only big name in the kitchen. James Beard award-winning chef Kwame is serving up his own spin on a chopped cheese patty at his spot called Patty Palace. Big Peach BBQ is loading up on cornbread with cheddar sauce and pulled pork. Napoli's Pizza is serving up cheesesteak and pizza in one bite. Feeling adventurous? Soul Bird has bulgogi cheesesteak spring rolls with kimchi, sharp cheddar, and a spicy kick. And if you just want a great burger, the Big Apple blend is on every level of the stadium.
I don't think there's a comparison to any other food in any ballpark across the country.
That's Jason Exterowitz. He's Citi Field's senior executive chef. He oversees a team of roughly 500 people. And if the desserts are any indication, he might just be right. And it's not just the big names getting a spot at the ballpark. The Mets opened the door to local businesses this season. Taqueria Ramirez is bringing in tacos de nopales, and the Queensboro is serving up a kimchi Reuben, both available when the season opens March 26th at Citi Field.
So if you're hungry, that story no doubt made it worse. Alrighty, folks. Well, that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great rest of your night. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at 10.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC7, right now for ABC7 News at 11.
I got hurt by a big truck. Why did I call the twos?
These are serious allegations.
One of the real tragedies in this case is Eric and Corey's kids. Their father tragically passed away. Their mother's parental rights have been terminated. She has forever lost her children. Those children have been adopted by one of Eric's sisters.
There are 3 little boys at the heart of this.
Just love. They have a lot of love surrounding them. They're great boys, and they're gonna be fine.
He was an amazing father, brother, son, nephew, friend. He was an amazing person with the most contagious laugh out there.
I'll remember Eric's laugh. If I can hear it in my head. He needs to be remembered as just a loving dad. He had so much more life to live, and he wanted so much for his boys. I'm gonna remember just how much he loved them.
And that's our program for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Deborah Roberts. From all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, good night.
The most heart-pounding, stunning, real-life, true crime drama.
Sex, betrayal, lies.
A bombshell. True murder mystery.
Shocking.
The greatest true crime story.
2020 True Crime. New episodes now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
The top 20 performances continue at Aulani, a Disney resort.
That was the greatest performance I have ever seen.
America, it's your turn to vote.
This is ABC7 News at 11.